2, 3, 4.
Come a little bit closer, hear what I have to say. Just like children.
Good morning, honey.
Good morning, sweetie. Clink.
Yep, here we are.
Okay, I'm drinking coffee, but I'm going to put in a shameless plug for LMNT.
Oh,
What is LMNT? It's the letters LMNT. Some people might call it element, but it is a electrolyte powder that you put in. There's two different types. The ones for cold drinks, like seltzer water, lemonade, that sort of stuff, or for hot drinks like chocolate salt, chocolate caramel, chocolate chai, chocolate raspberry. Mm-hmm. And there's various flavors. I'm going to put a link, or ask you to put a link at the bottom.
I will.
Is LMNT going to pay us for that? Probably not, but it's a good shameless plug for them anyway. Because most people do not get enough electrolytes. The doctors in the past umpteen years have said everybody is getting too much sodium. You got to reduce your sodium. Latest evidence shows that is not necessarily true. People are definitely not getting enough potassium.
Right.
So
Or magnesium.
Or magnesium. So that's what LMNT helps to take care of. I have some of my coffee every morning. You can put it in the flavored sparkling waters. A little bit.
It's really good.
It's really good. A little bit goes a long way. I had some yesterday.
They also sell the sparkling water with the LMNT in it. Remember, they sent us
Yes.
an 8-pack?
Yeah,
Oh my God, it was so good.
It's not cheap, but man, it is a whole lot better for you than Gatorade.
Yeah.
Does not have any sugar in it. No weird crap that you can't pronounce.
Yeah.
Unless you can't pronounce potassium, but I think most people can.
I notice a big difference when I drink a packet every other day or so. I don't have to have it every day, but I get cramps in my calves. And people would say, oh, you need to eat more bananas or you need more potassium. And I don't ever get cramps anymore. As long as I'm keeping up my water intake, and I'll have LMNT, every other day or so. And it really helps me. When I do it every day, even better. But I don't always have it with me, or there's some circumstance that I just don't have it. But it's made a big difference. But that's not our focus today.
No, I could go on and on about LMNT
I know.
and potassium in bananas.
And maybe
That's an urban myth.
Maybe we should have a whole conversation on that.
Yeah, write that down for a future podcast, maybe. There's not that much potassium. You see, eat a banana, well, you have to eat like 50 of them a day to get enough potassium.
Right.
And that's not really feasible. But yes, down that rabbit hole we went.
Yeah, I just want to say we did not have a recording last Sunday on Mother's Day. It was a pretty rough week prior to that. We had a huge loss in our family, and it's been tough. But some of the things that generated some thought on being a couple, a married couple for many years. We've had some not so good experiences with family dying, and some good experiences, which that might sound odd, but I think in the way in which we leave this earth and leave what's behind us can either puncture family ties and family dynamics and family connections, or it can enhance those things to be so you can grieve and so you can get through that time without much temper tantrums going on with family, or family conflict, if you will. And I've always been a huge kind of advocate for people really thinking about what's happening when you leave, how you are leaving, and what you've put in place to make it an easy transition, I guess you would say. And what we learned, it's been over 10 years, right? Has it been 10 years since your dad passed?
Yeah, it's been 12 years.
12 years since your dad passed. And that was my first experience in a death transition being really a calm time, even though it rattled all of us. Your dad had put some things in place so that that could be the focus of being able to grieve and not worry about finances and not worry about the plan for when he did. He had all of that planned out for your mom. And then 6 years ago when we lost your mom, or 5 years ago when we lost your mom, same thing. Like that plan continued on, and really it helped in the transition, but the timing of it was right at the pandemic. So that added another stress. But you didn't have to do any of the finance planning. Like all that was taken care of.
They had the forethought to put in place a family trust.
A family trust and a will. Mm-hmm. So all of that was in order. And what we did was we kind of aligned with that, and we put together our family trust and our living will right now. But in the loss this past week, it's been really hard on my mom. And a lot of pressure on her to kind of take care of everything. And that's not the first time. Same thing happened when my grandma Ruby passed away. Same thing happened when my grandma Shirley passed away. And this is just another one of those chain breakers that I want to do for my kids, to show them it doesn't have to be that way. When you take the time to create that living trust and will with your husband or your wife and put things in place so that when you do transition and move off of this earth, that the ones that you leave behind are taken care of and not having to make a ton of decisions. That decision has already been made.
That's what a trust does. It incorporates a living will, saying what you want done with your person, your body, after the fact. It also is a durable medical power of attorney, saying that if you're in an incapacitated state, do they keep you going or pull the plug?
Right.
Who's in charge of your affairs if you are incapacitated?
Right.
Medical decisions like that, financial decisions. And once you are passed, what happens to all your stuff? We leave stuff behind. Sometimes it is stuff of value, sometimes it is not. If you have things that are of value, like a house, bank accounts, cars, material things that are left behind, you don't want to have your estate, which is the whole gathering of your stuff, to go to probate. That means the state takes charge. They appoint an attorney, a probate attorney, and the state
years.
It takes years. The state gets most of it. The attorney gets most of it, and you get diddly squat years later.
Right.
And that's not what we intend. Hopefully, not what we intend. Whenever we get towards the end of our shelf life, is to make it more difficult for those who are left behind. Unless you're a really terrible, spiteful person, but not many people are. So the will itself, the living will and the trust, are a set of instructions that are set in place and it's a binding legal document. So whenever you do pass, the government doesn't have to get involved, right? In a big way. People get it. estate gets distributed to whoever you want to go to. They don't have to pay inheritance taxes unless you're a multimillionaire. They don't have to worry about getting permission to sell the house or cars or anything like that.
Right.
You just follow the instructions in the trust itself, and it makes the transition a lot easier. I had to deal with help mom deal with dad's side of the trust when he passed, and that was relatively seamless because there were a set of instructions.
Right.
And then when she passed, all her assets, her house, her car, bank account, and dad's coin collection, the guns, that sort of stuff was already written out as to who got what. So there's no squabbling, no fighting, any of that sort of thing.
Right.
So it was emotionally devastating to lose your parents, but it wasn't financially devastating. We knew exactly what the next steps were and how to proceed. So I got the house ready. I got it sold. It was, kind of going down a rabbit hole here. Felt like whenever we were getting the house ready to sell, that all the contents, everything that was in there had to be removed. We had to ask people, do you want this? Do you want that? We're taking pictures off the wall. It felt like I was disassembling their lives. Mm-hmm. And that was
hard enough.
That was gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
It felt like I was, because all their stuff that is so familiar to us, that is in their house. Every time you go to visit, these chairs are over here. This is where they sat in their chairs. These are the pictures that were hanging on the wall. This was the whole vibe, the whole ambiance of what was there, the familiarity of everything that you're used to, and it all had to be split up and sent to the four winds, and that was tough. I don't know of any way of easy doing that if you have any emotion in your being, any sentimentality, which hopefully most people do. But it was tough. We got it done. We held our breath, and I think I didn't fall apart until it was all done. Then I allowed myself to do that. I had to be the strong one and get it all done. I had help, absolutely. I wasn't, an island doing it all by myself.
Brother helped you a lot.
Yes, Ray helped me. Cinda helped a little bit. Arlita helped a little bit. You helped a lot. And so the family came together and
did what they could.
It did what they could, did what had to be done. And there was no squabbling, infighting. Everybody handles it differently. Grief is a very subjective thing. Everybody handles it differently. So if you have to go through this experience and somebody's not acting the way you do, then just understand that they have to process it differently.
Well, and I remember this was years ago, probably that 12 years when your dad passed, that I really started thinking about, we hadn't created a trust yet. We hadn't done any of those things. And I would remember looking at this paperwork and this binder that had been put together that your dad did with a lawyer, a family lawyer, and I thought, what an amazing thing that he thought about this. And being a teacher at the community college, teaching human development, we talk about everything from birth to death. And every semester, at the end of the semester, when we talk about death, this is what I focus on. And also focusing on your dash, which we have mentioned a couple of times about your dash is what you want it to be. It's the time in between your birth and your death, and you want to live the absolute most amazing, conquering life that you can, that just thrives, and you're making an imprint, an impact on people. But there's a time where you really have to think about that departure, what that's going to look like. And you don't get to decide it. However, looking at that binder, it kind of gave me some control over, oh gosh, I can make this really easy for my kids. and we can make this really easy for your kids. We're a blended family of 5 kids. And so we have that all lined out. Now, I remember asking you what you wanted to have happen when you passed away. Do you want to be cremated? Do you want to be buried? And you just avoided that question for a couple of years for me because it's a hard question.
Because I didn't know.
I know.
I didn't know the answer.
Right.
I just said, surprise me.
And, and I didn't know either. I remember you saying one time, you said to me, well, I really like archaeology, so maybe if they bury me and they find my bones later, that would be kind of cool. And I'm like, no,
yeah,
that's
thousand years from now, they dig me up and say, ooh, look at this dude.
Let's not do that.
Massive debauchery. Look what he did to his body.
Right. But, I mean, you were even saying yesterday that you had a moment of gratitude on how healthy and strong you are comparatively to how you saw your grandfathers and your father when they were 65 years old. Mm-hmm. And it's true, how we take care of ourselves means a lot. It means that maybe the end of life doesn't have to be as physically I don't even know how to put it. Watching family pass is really hard. Watching my aunt pass away was really difficult for me. But it wasn't just watching her physically. It was knowing that was my mom's last sibling, that she now has 0 siblings with her, and that's very hard for me. And also the piece around being able to support my mom and get her through this transition is very, very hard. We have some kids outside, so Luna decided, there's dogs too, so of course that's gonna
our neighbors walking their kids and
Yeah.
cats and dogs.
Kids, cats, and dogs. Go outside, Luna.
Now
She's got to go check on the.
Gotta go give them the what
it's the
for.
whole family. Look at that.
Yeah.
They've got the whole family walking down the road.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, there goes Luna. Anyway, it's been a really, really tough couple of weeks. My Aunt Carla was someone that lived 2 doors down from my Grandma Ruby my whole life growing up. And her husband, Adolf Zomer, he was a huge impact in my life. He died 30 years ago. And he was like my father figure because I didn't have my dad in my life. That was really difficult. But to see her, in these last 30 years, she didn't remarry. She had some, some mental health stuff, and she sat in her chair and read her books, or when she was working, she would go to work. But she was 82 or 81 this year. 81. She was 81 this year. No. When did we have the big 80th birthday party? Was that 2 years ago?
2 years ago, I think.
Okay.
When your mom was 75.
And she was 80.
Yeah.
Yeah. She sat and read a lot. She didn't do any self-care whatsoever. And we are so indebted to our self-care. Like, we're so focused. I don't know if that's the right word, but
invested.
And we're invested in taking really good care of ourselves, and it's a skill, not a destination. Each day you make a decision on what you're going to do and how you're going to be. And watching someone pass that had 0 self-care just ignited me even more on what I need to do, those small steps, and building those skills to ensure I'm taking really good care of myself.
And knowing how we do not want to end up.
Right. Right.
if we can help it.
I don't want to. I mean, initially your body's going to give out, at the end of life. You don't get to choose how that ends. I oftentimes will pray to die in my sleep and just not wake up. That would be when I hear people dying like that, I'm like, that is the best way to die. But you don't get to make that choice,
right.
Unfortunately. But what you do in your planning beforehand, that's what I really thought about. When my mom is having to go in debt because she has to pay for the cremation of her sister, that's heart-wrenching to watch. When I see someone having to put something on a credit card because someone decided not to plan, that's gut-wrenching. In fact, you and I were such good role models for my own mom. She's put together her family trust already. She's put her stuff together. She's already bought her plot at the VA to be with Chuck when she passes. And she saw that because of what she's been through. So, dear listener, the whole goal of today's podcast is for you to really think about, not ruminate, but think about and make a list. We make lists every time we have conversations. We were sitting here this morning making a list of the things we want to get done before we go on our vacation. We make lists on, okay, here's future podcasts. We make lists on, this is what we're buying at the grocery store. Like, we are list makers. And if you're not a list maker, you might want to think about something to put in order so that when and if something happens to you, because each day is a gift. Each day we wake up, we need to know that it is a gift. Mm-hmm. That things are in order so we're not a burden on our family. And that's the number one thing, is not leaving the burden financially, mentally, physically on our family to have to take care of those things. And now I'm thinking about updating our plan, pulling that back out and going, okay, what's it saying there again? Is there something we can do to have like a card for an estate sale agent to be in there? And this is who you call and you do an estate sale here to get rid of things that are in this house. And then where's all that stuff get donated to that does not get rid of, instead of our family having to make 15 trips to Goodwill? You see what I'm saying? So I think we can update that more. Also, I wrote, update our own plan to include cremation so that we have 10 grand sitting in our safe that's labeled cremation for about 3 grand for each of us, because that's how much it costs right now. And then the list for the estate sales and who to contact for that. And then the local taco truck to come to my celebration of life to play Mexican music and have tacos, because that's a big joke of mine, that a taco truck shows up and everybody gets tacos and celebrates my life. I don't need anybody mourning over me when I pass. I want a celebratory. I hope I can make impact when I'm here and make a difference. And I want people to celebrate what I did while I'm here. That's what I want for me. That's what I was thinking.
Well, I'd pass. I'm going to have everybody say, ding dong, the dude is dead.
But these are hard conversations. Stop it.
Now we've got a whole new crew of barkers.
I know.
Thanks for teaching them, Luna.
Yeah, thanks, Luna.
The little girl was going to buy her bicycle and they were very interested.
Yeah.
Squirrel.
But these are hard conversations that we're having, and I understand that.
Because most people don't want to think about they think they'll live forever. We know that is not possible, but to wrap your mind around your own mortality,
right,
saying at some point this little merry-go-round that we're on will end, and you'll have to get off this little merry-go-round.
It's not a dress rehearsal.
Right. This is it.
You don't get a second chance.
Right. And when you pass and you get off the merry-go-round, metaphorically speaking, that it will continue on. The earth will continue to spin.
Without you.
Without you. The sun will continue to rise and set. Trees will grow leaves. The whole continuum, the circle of life thing. And what you leave behind, whether it's positive or negative, is entirely up to you. And that's why we're asking people, both of you that are listening, that think about that. Because that'd be great. I think it'd be a mixed blessing, mixed bag to live forever. After a while, you get tired of it because you'll have done everything, seen everything.
Well, people, and you'll hear that, people that, and if you watch on Netflix, they have what they call the blue states, where there's blue zones where people live into their, late 90s, hundreds. They'll tell you, how these people are living and what it's like. You can watch it on Netflix, and we've watched all those.
Mm-hmm. There's also some new evidence that this guy cherry-picked his data.
Of course he did.
And but then these blue zones are not necessarily any different than any of the others. I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but
the point is connecting to people that have lived late into their 90s and some 100s. I have a colleague at work, her mother's 100 years old, and they're planning her birthday, as they should. But this is the thing. That 100-year-old mama is looking at her daughter going, I don't even know why I'm still walking the earth. I'm kind of done here. And I just keep going on. I don't know what's happening. And I remember Grandma Ruby saying the same thing. I don't know why God keeps me here this long. I'm just sitting here looking out the window, drinking my coffee, And I remember holding her hand and I said, for me, Grandma, that's why you're here. For me.
Because she was a huge positive influence in her life.
Yeah. And she was on my sister's life, and she was on my mom's life. So, anyways, the neighbors are walking back by, so that's why you hear the growling and the barking and the interest. They didn't walk very far, but they have to go all the way up their big driveway.
Yeah. They probably went down to the mailbox and back.
Yeah.
They got kids and dogs and grandpa and everybody else.
Yeah. So these are just things that, having that hard talk with your significant other, paying the money, because it is not cheap, but it's worth it if you put together that family trust. It's worth it because you have something that your family will not have to work through later. Take the year and save some money and make an appointment with an attorney. Find someone that does it for, as least expensive as you can, that will put something together for you and have it audit. What do you call it? You have to have a signature notarized. So that way, if something happens to you, and I tell Dennis this all the time, if we're on vacation and something horrific happens and we're gone, our kids know exactly what to do. Is that in the safe? Where is the living trust? Does that need to be sitting out just in case when we're gone on our vacation? You never know. You just don't know. You hear of it very sporadically, but you do hear of people who go on a long road trip and something happens, or driving to work. Something good. You just don't know. You just don't know.
I guess we can put that on our list of things before we leave.
Yeah.
Check on the trust.
Yeah. That'll be a good idea.
Put it in the appropriate binder. Mm-hmm. Because I know where it is, but does anybody else know where it is?
Right.
That's
where does it live?
Right.
Yeah.
Because I have a copy of my brother's trust. My brother Ray has a trust that he's got everything figured out. Of course, he has assets and he has an idea what who gets what and that sort of thing, and the list of assets. But I also have mom and dad's trust still in there. I don't want them to get confused with mom and dad's old trust with our current one. So I think that is probably a good thing to check on and make sure everything is in order. And I know Casey is one of the executors, and Emily is a co-executor. But they're going to be both
It's
with
Carly.
us. Carly? Mm-hmm. Okay. I stand corrected. So Carly should get a copy of the trust. Mm-hmm. Put it somewhere safe.
Well, and you can lay it on your desk right there.
My desk is a mess, but that's another.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That it's just sitting out. No one has to go looking for it. So, I know these are hard conversations. I know that's probably not something you wanted to hear today, but I think it's important to just start the conversation. I hope this plants a seed enough for you. And I think we can kind of be done talking about it. It's a short talk today. We're only at 30 minutes, unless there's something more you want to talk about.
Nothing else I can think of, but what does this say on my arm? I have 2 tattoos on my arm.
Memento vivere.
Vivere. Memento. Remember to live. It's Latin. Remember to live. And the other one says
Memento mori.
Right. Remember that you must die.
Mm-hmm.
So now's a good time as any. Get a good grasp on your own mortality. That would be wonderful. Thinking that we're going to live 1,000 years, or live at least as long as we want to. Ooh, there
Speak
goes
of
the
the
phone.
devil.
That's your phone going off.
Yep. That's my mama. It's her birthday today. I'll call her back in just a minute.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to say in the midst of talking about this, remember to live. One of the reasons why we're so big on really looking at our lives and our self-care is because while we're living, we want it to be good. And we want it to be amazing. And we want it to be peaceful. We want our minds to be at peace. We want to have a calm place where people can come, almost sanctuary-like.
And have a calm aura around you when you're out in the community with your family or with people you don't know. Have a calmness and happiness about you, which are both skills, by the way, not destinations.
That's right.
So people enjoy being around you. Not that I really care or think about what other people think of me, but just don't be a source of irritation. And if you will draw people to you magnetically if you exhibit these qualities.
A vibe that is attractive rather than a vibe that people detract from.
Right, repulsive.
Right. No one wants to be around someone that's constantly complaining, constantly ruminating, constantly self-deprecating,
Worrying.
talking about how fat they are, how ugly they are, or how the things they don't have or don't. Nobody wants to be around that. And that's why that work on mindset is so important, because you are what you think. And if you take the time to catch yourself in those moments that you're doing things like that, because we all do them, all of us, every human, your brain, that organ in between your ears,
The thought factory.
yeah, that thought factory, it can twist and turn you in and put you into the wrong place in your mind. It's actually it can defy you. It can do things to you that, and what's amazing, this is the amazing part, is you can control it.
You can learn to control
You
it.
can learn to control what you think. You can learn to control how you take in information and how you put out information. But every single time you have a thought, it is driven by your hormones or your thoughts.
Your past experience.
Yeah.
Your myelinated pathways.
Right. That causes you to feel things. Not what other people do or say. It's the way you think or your hormones that cause you to feel certain ways. Nobody can make you feel anything. And that's the power of the mind. if you're interested, I'll also put another link to Jason Seib's stuff where he goes deep into mindset. He does a lot of work on mindset, and we've been following him for almost a year now, and it has changed my life. I used to ruminate and still ruminate a lot, but I'm learning how not to let it overpower me. I'm learning to ask the question of how is that serving me right now? How is that? Why am I thinking about that right now? How is that helping me? Can I solve that problem right now? And usually it's a no. And I say, wipe it off the table. I get it to ridiculous. You know, why do I look in the mirror and say those things to myself? Would I say that to my best friend? Things like that I am so hard on myself, but I am worth it. That's what I'm learning. I am worth having good thoughts about myself. I am worth not ruminating or self-deprecating myself to death. I am worth it. And it's not that I look at the mirror and go, you're so beautiful. That's not the point. The point is I can look in the mirror and say, I'm going to go live my best life today. And I'm going to go and try to make good decisions on everything today, from what I eat to how much exercise I get in, to interactions I make with individuals and how I'm connecting with people. You know, those things that count for me and my self-care.
Right. So whenever you lay your head down on your pillow at night, you can be proud, absolutely proud of what you have done that day. Mm-hmm. No regrets.
Yeah. No regrets. Which means regrets.
Yes. That's a line from a movie. Somebody got a tattoo wrong. And it says no regrets. Well, are you sure you don't have any regrets about that?
All right. I think that's a podcast, honey.
Thank you very much for listening and putting up with our stuff.
Yeah.
We are not professional. Well, professional something. I don't know what it is, but we like to talk. We're not doctors. We're not lawyers.
No.
We're not any of that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And if you prefer the shorter version, we'll keep them short. If an hour's too long, just let us know. 30 minutes is just right. We'll keep them at 30 minutes. It's hard because we like to talk, but we'll get to it.
Yeah, those are rabbit holes we keep going down into.
Mm-hmm. Next week, we're going to talk about how we made a list for our trip and what we're going to do on our trip and our planning and how we do that, how we plan vacation together.
And you can join us vicariously because after that, we're going to be on vacation doing these sort of things.
Yeah.
We're going to be in Hawaii. You can listen to all the chickens and the birds in the background because we're going to do it outside on the lanai.
Yeah.
And other people will join us. First week, we're going to be by ourselves. And the second week, Casey and Grayson are going to join us, and Emily and Ray and Sadie are going to join us. So they will be part of the conversation as well. So they will get to inject their 2 cents.
Yeah.
Or 3 cents, however much they brought with them.
Hey, honey, have a great week.
I love you, sweetie.
I love you too.
Bye.
Woohoo! Semester's over. Let me see.